they are also very active, but their forms of activity is probably quite different than ours, because their activity is not so much linked with the tensions, competitions, or stress, fear, or too much of hope, expectations. The action is not very much linked with these typical emotions that whenever we're trying to do, we very much linked with that, and particularly when we call it professions, then it's very much linked with that. As when we think about service, supposed to be less connected with those issues, but sometimes even people do services, they're caught up with the same situation back. In some way, when you do service, it's a place where you don't want to have any of those things, just purely do whatever it takes, to do it from open heart. I always give an example about our neighbor down in the Serenity Ridge, John, who used to living close to it. And when I asked what he did, he said he went to India. And I said, what did you do in India? He said he went to the Amritsar Golden Temple. And I said, what did you do there? He said he woke up and every morning, like 5 in the morning, and cleaned the floor of the temple. I said, okay, that's my neighbor. So I want a neighbor like that who didn't want to become the president of the organization or something like that. Just wanted to clean the floor. That's it. Just come there with open heart, clean the floor, and leaves. So it's something like that. So it's very much sometimes our service is supposed to be like that, but it can be caught up with issues too. So anyway, so if you look in life, the question about, let's not think about enlightened actions, like not compare ourselves to the enlightened beings, but we can at least think about whatever we do in our life, how much anxiety, how much view, for example, how much open view you have, what you do. Think about whatever you do, how open you are to what you do, how clear you are in what you do, how optimistic you are in what you do, how hopeful you are in what you do, how a sense of collaboration and invitation that you have what you do, how much acceptance and considerations of others' feelings, others' view, how much you have. And or in contrary, one can be kind of shut up internally, very close, because as I said, the crown is not very open. There's not so much sense of awareness of openness in life. There's no so much sense of this union, very, very important quality of union of that space and light, not so much in ourselves. Therefore, all these qualities that I just spoke about it, like being very open view, optimistic, and very positive and collaborative, and considering others' opinion, invitation, and all those qualities merge from that union of space and light. They don't just come out from nothing. They come from some specific part of either you can psychological dimension or the experiential dimension. It comes from a very specific place in our life. So if you look, if you see there's not so much openness and these qualities I just mentioned, then obviously we're still going to do things in our life. We are still alive, we are still breathing, we are still eating, we are still walking, and we are still, people still expect you to do things, and you're still wanting to do, and you do. But so when you do it, you run into trouble. You run into trouble because all the qualities that we're supposed to have in order to have some spontaneous action or effortless action or joyful action, there's no quality to have that actions. Because now when you don't have that, clearly what you see, you right away you face. What kind of things you face? You face tension. You get exhausted, you get disappointed, you get upset, very stressed, psychologically affecting you, the health-wise is affecting you. your view of the world is not very positive. So it's just one after another, there's so much negative consequences we suffer from. So this is, this is what we experience in everyday life, or everyday basis that people experiences that. So how to change that? Basically, first, of course, one thing is to when one is caught up with those situations in life, not to always. What we usually tend to do, we think, say, okay, well, this is the situation, this is the environment that I'm living because of the environment. This is because a group of people that I work with, it's their problem. This is the person that I live with, is his problem or her problem. Basically, we can find so many good reasons to look every possible situation except oneself. And we don't look at oneself. So if that's most of the time people have attitude that I have nothing to do with it. I'm primordially pure. I just haven't recognized that, but otherwise I'm primordially pure. The problem is all this what around it me. So we just basically leave ourselves and just kind of rationalize everything else is imperfect around us. So this is typically we tend to do. Of course, sometimes that they might have some good reasons. But even there is a good reason. If you change, world change. If you change first, the world will change after you right away. Things that you would never think something will change, after you change, they change. That's the amazing thing, So who's going to take first step? Of course, one thing one of the things in everyday life, we want, first you change, then I will change. For they change, then I will change. I'm going to change, but I want you to change first. You see, so that's kind of normal expectation. So according to the teaching, what needed to do is just when one is facing those situations in one's life, first ask this question, how much I am contributing to this, my stress, tension, this negative feelings that I'm having, or just whatever is going on, how much I'm contributing in it. So and if you look at that, you will clearly see. So ability, a willingness to look, able to reflect deep enough within oneself, and in the end, the recognition will be to see some lack of quality. That's what it comes down to. So some lack of quality of, for example, acceptance. Sometimes we just have to accept. Sometimes there's nothing you can do, just simply say it's fine. Of course, not to just say it's fine, but feel it, have some realization of it, some deep understanding of it, that it is a fine. Other situation, it doesn't mean that you become very passive and just accept every situation around you, but other situation, when you're looking at the life, you see that things can be changed. And when you see things can be changed, and it's question about, there's some sense of open view, lightness about what you wanted to change, some enthusiasm and some energy in what you wanted to change. Those qualities are there, and you're able to change what you wanted to change, but without getting stress or tension, or driving oneself or around oneself, or driving other people around oneself crazy. So it's very much about a specific. Basically, the bottom line is that when we see ourselves situation like that, ask this question: what quality I'm lacking? What quality I'm lacking? I'm lacking a joy. I'm not very happy in what I'm doing, for example.